A very warm good afternoon to everyone. This is Sakshi on behalf of eMobility Plus and First View Group, welcoming you to Carbon Credit Management for India's electric vehicle ecosystem and carbon financing. I take the pleasure to thank our panel members for extending their immense support to organize this event, and a very special thanks to our sponsor partner, Enki International, for their uh, undying support. I would now request my team to play the promotional video. Thank you, team, for playing that video. Thank you, team, for playing that video. May I now introduce Mr. Rohit, Manager Business Development from Eki Energy Services Limited, to give his presentation. Over to you, Mr. Rohit.
Hi, thanks, Sakshi, and very good afternoon to all of you. I know it's a post-lunch session, so please bear with me, and I'll be, putting forward some interesting facts, and from there onwards, we can go ahead. So please allow me a minute to share my screen. Okay. So yeah, can you please confirm? Is it visible
Yes,
clearly?
it's visible. Yes.
All right. So, very warm welcome from EK Energy Services Limited to attend this webinar and basically take time from your busy schedules, and that too in a post lunch session. Yeah. So apart from that, recently we have been listening these words like ev fleet aggregators and then net zero and all such kind of sustainability and how to become carbon neutral. India has again, we have committed our ndc goals to be a net zero company till 2070. So likewise all these jargons and all these words are coming currently. And so EV being a very green kind of a ecosystem, it brings a green kind of an ecosystem and has a very you can say negligible tailpipe emission. So that is why it is very important for basically us to consider these kind of EV projects into carbon management system. So I'll just quickly introduce my company. Uh, Basically, we are the only listed BSC listed company in India, with who is providing carbon credit consultancy, carbon asset managers, so plus sustainability services. Till last year, we have traded approximately 2,000 million plus offset. When I say offset, it is carbon credits. We have 14 plus years of experience we have started in 2008, and today is 2023. We have 250 plus personals spread across globe, uh, serving in 20 plus nations, and we are the CDP, that is Carbon Disclosure Product Projects Accredited Gold Solution Provider, and such kind of feathers are on our cap. So basically, this is again the things. Coming to why carbon offsets. So before that, I'll just explain you, when we say this carbon management, carbon credits and other kind of things. So uh, a general question or a logical question will come up, that where we will develop these kind of projects. So there, just for your information, there are two kinds of market. One is compliance market, the another one is voluntary carbon market. As of now, in India, compliance market is in preparation, and maybe in 1 or 2 years down the line, government will come up with the compliance market. But currently, Indian projects are going into voluntary carbon market. So in this tree, when you are seeing, such words, that is GSCER, so that is gold standard CER. Then VCO, that is uh, verified carbon standards term of carbon credits. So these voluntary carbon market bodies, autonomous bodies, you can say, currently registering projects from India subcontinent or from the world in voluntary carbon market, and these the generated developed credit can be sold into the international market. Yeah, so that is the thing. So again, what is carbon offset? Wherever you are reducing the generation of carbon dioxide equivalent, right, or avoiding the generation of carbon dioxide equivalent in the environment, so a carbon credit is being developed. So that is the basically, you can say the words. When we put carbon credit, so it is nothing but you are stopping the generation or avoiding the emission of carbon dioxide uh, equivalent to 1 ton, right? So 1,000 kgs of carbon dioxide, when you are reducing, you are generating one carbon credit. So that is the carbon offset. And our work periphery. So we consult the project developers, basically in the EV system. So the manufacturers, the fleet aggregators, charge point operators, and every stakeholders basically. So we engage with them from the very initial stage. Then we register their project, verify and facilitate the issuance of the carbon credits from the various registries, and then we facilitate the trading also. So one part is the generation of carbon credit, the another part would be trading. So when you trade the carbon credit, it will generate revenue out of that, right? So say one carbon credit is equivalent to $1, $2, just for example. So whatever number of carbon credits you are generating, that will get sold into the market, and then the revenue will generate from there. So that is the very basic life cycle of a carbon project. Again, our work area. So from the past 14 years, we have been actively involved in renewable energy projects, then waste management projects. Now, as of now, from past 3-4 years, electric vehicles, right, energy efficiency projects. Then we have community-based projects also, cook store distribution, water purifier distribution, and the emission reductions generated from those kind of projects are traded. Forestry projects, agroforestry projects. So like that, this is the span of our services. Again, this is our journey. 2008 we have started, then in 2021 we got listed, and in 2022 we are here and continuing our journey, right? Again, our services. So these are a bouquet of services we provide: GHG accounting, carbon footprints. So basically, it's not all about, when we talk about sustainability, it's not all about generating the revenue from carbon credits. It's also all about, what carbon you are emitting by your operations, by your actions, right? So these are the services we provide: GHG accounting, carbon water footprints, and disclosing your basically carbon footprints, or your emissions into various platforms, sustainability platforms like carbon disclosure project, CDP, and then SBTI and other kind of such platforms. So, we consult also to form your ESG strategy, and then how you will get carbon neutral, right? So there are various such scope in that. Again, how carbon projects work. So when you see a right vertical line, right from client till verification and generation of carbon credits. So this part, client, project identification, project implementation. So this vertical line, the operations, what you are doing, right? You are a client, your project is, whether you are manufacturing, selling, or you are a fleet aggregator, or then you operated means, if you are a fleet aggregator, you are operating, you're running your vehicles, right? So you are replacing the diesel from the environment, and you are replacing the EV. So that particular delta will be eligible for carbon credits. So then, parallelly, we get engaged. We prepare all your documents. We facilitate the validation by external auditors registered from the various carbon market registries. Then the registration happens. Again, when the issuance will be there, we facilitate the trading. Then the trading happens, and then we realize the revenue. It's a additional source of income for such kind of green projects, I can say. These In these countries we are currently present, Latam, South Africa, Brazil, uh, again India, MENA region, and then Southeast Asia. Yeah, these are our clientele. So till last year, approximately 90% of the Indian carbon market, the generation and the trading was by us, and globally it was around 20-25% till last year. Some national private clients, and so again, just 2 more minutes, because when I say that EV will also generate the carbon credit. So how? So here, if you can see ER, so these terms, when we expand that, so emission reduction, how in EV the emission reduction is happening. So here you can say baseline emission, project emission, and leakage emission. What is baseline emission? If suppose I have two trucks, one is diesel one is EV one, right? When I'm running the diesel vehicle, so for each liter diesel burned, it will generate 2.6 kgs of carbon. But when I'm replacing it by a you can say a electric truck, so for each kilowatt hour it will generate 0.93 kgs of carbon, because that electricity also we are taking from the grid, which is predominantly 50-55% is from thermal energy. So that's why 0.93% the grid electricity will generate kgs. So the difference, basically whatever kilometers you will run, so that the difference or the delta will be eligible for emission reduction, that particular amount of carbon you are replacing from the environment. That is the very basic principle. And then each project has its own things. So whatever data will be just a simple specific data that we will require. And at the time of validation audits, there's a whole list of document which the project owner has to showcase. So that's it from my side. I hope it gave you some kind of insight. Yeah, thank you. I just
Thank you so much for that insightful presentation.
Yeah,
Um,
I'll just
so,
stop sharing. Just a
sure,
second.
sir. Great. So,
All right.
again, thank you very much for that insightful presentation. Here, I would like to make a small announcement. Attendees can post their questions in the Q&A box, and our speakers will answer those questions at the end of the panel discussion. Uh, as we are aware that different global carbon credit management mechanisms under compliance and voluntary carbon markets open up a promising path of carbon financing through carbon credit management to the electric vehicle segment in India. As discussed by Mr. Rohit, also the recently passed Energy Conservation Bill 2022 also opens up promising compliance carbon for the carbon credit market in India. In our virtual webinar today, we have different stakeholders of India's EV ecosystem who will explain the following. Now, without any further ado, let us initiate our much awaited panel discussion session for today. Allow me to introduce the proficient panel for today. Mr. Rohit, from Eki Energy Services Limited, Mr. Kundu from RTI International, Mr. Akshay Shekhar from Kazam EV, Mr. Pradeep Saxena from Hyge Energy, Mr. Ravindra Mohan from Tesco Charge Zone. Mr. Kundu from RTI International will be the moderator for the session. Over to you, Mr. Kundu.
Thank you, Avanti, and a very good afternoon to you all. And thank you, Rohit, for the detailed presentation. I think in the course of the discussion, I will go into much detail with you because you have a good expertise in this field along with Iki. So, as we know that electric vehicle, India has a target of 30% private cars and 70% commercial vehicles and 80% two and three wheelers by 2030. So it will open up a huge market for EV and the EV charging stations. But if you see at the present scenario, as the acceleration, there is an acceleration of EV adoption, but the number of EVs on the road are still very low. If we if we talk about the charging station that need to be deployed to cater those EVs and the rate of utilization of those charging stations. So sometimes the rate of utilization of the charging station is so low that the investors are skeptical into getting into those operations and thereby getting what you call getting into the operation so that the return on investment will be high or low. They are not sure of that because of the low rate of utilization. So carbon credit generation on the other hand can help to push that growth because that will be an additional revenue stream for the charging station operators, right? So to start with that, and as Rohit said, the government of India with the Energy Conservation Act 2022, they have already mentioned in Section 14 that there will be need to develop the carbon markets in India so that the internal trading can be done, which was previously done with external partners in foreign countries. So keeping that in mind, I'll request my first question to Rohit will be that, okay, based on the presentation that you have, how you think the voluntary carbon market should be designed right now in India so that it can benefit both the EV owners as well as the charging station operators and help them to push their investment in the charging station development or the charging station operations. Over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Kundu. It was a very interesting question, actually. So, as we all know that currently there is no such mechanism present in India. The government of India is working towards it, and in coming years, like till 2024 or 25, compliance market will come up. So in India, the visibility for a carbon market which is voluntary in nature, so basically is there. But again, current focus of government of India is on the priority sectors, that is more energy guzzling sectors that are 13 in numbers. And whatever PAT scheme that was energy efficiency per se was there, so that credits will first be converted into that. So that particular scheme I think they'll replicate. Coming to voluntary market, the design of voluntary market. So recently, you have heard that Tesla has make a huge amount of money from their electric vehicle system. So in the same line, if we can have this kind of market, that will be beneficial. But by then, we have a very lucrative option of going for international registries, right? That are VCS, that is Verified Carbon Standard, GS, that is Global, Gold Standard, and GCC, Global Carbon Council. And we have a readily available methodologies both. One is for electric vehicle running, another one is for charging station establishment. So we don't have to wait for such long, till the market in India will mature, but we can easily go into the international market as of now. So yeah.
Thank you. Rohit, if you're aware, can you throw some light on the Vera methodology? I think the methodology developed by Vera for these charging stations.
Right, sure. So the methodology actually VM0038, and it talks about whatever electricity you are providing to charge the electric vehicle, that particular electric for that particular electricity, you will be eligible for carbon credits. So there are again many clauses into that electricity, you can say 1 unit is basically is being transferred, so the charge point operator is just the facilitator of that, right? And the end user who is using the electricity to charge his or her vehicle will be technically the owner of the carbon credit, because he's running the vehicle, and then the credits will be generated on from his behalf or her behalf, right? So then the charge point operator has to have a backward and forward agreement with the stakeholders, that whatever credits will get generated, I'll be the sole basically claimer for that. I'll claim that credit. And once it is done, whatever number of electricity that particular charge point is providing, that can be converted into electricity. So it also depends on the type of vehicle what they are being charged, right? So four wheeler has a different kind of requirement, three wheeler, two wheeler, and then whatever delta we will get on an average, that would be eligible for emission reduction. Yeah.
Thank you, Rohit. And based on the discussion, what I understand is the EV charging owners and the EV charging operators, they can easily get the carbon credit based on the renewable energy they're using or any green energy they're using or they're operating on that. So my next question will be to Akshay, who is from Kazam, as he is also working on, I think, the carbon credit management for EVs. So, Akshay, can you tell me if currently the EV owners or charging station operators are very low in the country, and there is a transaction cost of for carbon credits? So, how the aggregation in the market can help in reducing the transaction cost, and how that can be beneficial to both the EV owners and charging station operators separately? Over to Akshay. I think Akshay is not audible or he's not present.
I think he's facing some connectivity issues. He's just joining back.
Okay, if I can shift the questions to Mr. Ravindra, who is heading this charging zone, Tesco charging. Avanti, he is also not available.
If you could just ask the next question to Mr. Pratik, if you
Yeah,
could just take a minute.
For Mr. Pratik, actually, is mostly working on the renewable energy, so I will focus on him on the renewable energy. Mr. Pratik, for you, I have the question is that currently the word taxonomy is very much in the what do you call in the air for this uh, sustainability financing, right? How you think the taxonomy development on the for carbon financing will help also on the EV side, EV and charging station operations?
Yeah, actually, we are working on the EV charging side as well in India.
Hmm.
So, just a quick introduction of Hoga Energy. Hoga
Sure.
Energy is based out of Toronto, and we have developed a platform which is based on our patent. So, carbon credits are function of two things. One is the grid, the electricity coming from the grid, and how clean or how dirty your grid is. And the second is where it is being consumed. And this is something which came from our learning from the projects. Again, we are not as competent as EKI, but we are learning fast. So one of the things which we realized is in most of North America, the grid is very clean. What I mean by clean is 80%, like where our head office is in Toronto. The grid is 80% clean, which is mainly nuclear and hydro. And then 20% is gas fired only to take care of peak load. When we started working on EV charging project with the Indian Oil Corporation, which is a public information, we realized several things. The biggest challenge was to upgrade the grid, which is mainly the distribution transformer, for the purpose of EV charging, fast DC EV charging. The second thing we realized was the EV charging business for the aggregators was not profitable. So it was a very obvious choice to use a rooftop solar to charge EVs, and so that's enabled by our software. While we were doing it, it realized to us that why not, convert that into carbon credits, and just for the fun sake, let's figure out how much, in terms of financing, in terms of carbon credit is available, and the numbers were mind-boggling. So if Indian Oil has got 50,000 gas stations, uh, out of that, they say 20,000 gas stations use solar-based EV charging, then they would be generating roughly about $10 billion US dollars every year in terms of carbon credit. I might be wrong by 50%, but still that's a big number. That's what I wanted to mention. And if you look at McKinsey's report, we have been talking about, everyone, whole of the world is talking about net zero goals, but net zero goals is a very expensive proposition, right? So to achieve that net zero, as per McKinsey, it is about $3 billion every year of spend to achieve net zero. From where that financing would be coming, and you are right, uh, that we need to look at carbon credit and that type of innovative financing. So I will take a pause here. This gives a good flavor of how we are approaching carbon credit market. We are not a paper trail type of a carbon calculation. It is a real hardware software combination which calculates carbon credits on a real time basis and make it available for purchase by the buyers.
Okay, thank you, Pratik. Pratik, my next question to you is that as you talked about the renewable energy for the charging stations, if the rooftop solar, you worked on the distribution because I worked on that line also.
Mhm.
So I just wanted to understand how you're thinking that renewable energy procurement for EV charging station is, what is the way forward for that? Because rooftop solar is slightly very costly for the EV charging station on the rate of utilization that they're having when you do the cost benefit analysis, right? And how that will be done through open access or other procurement methodologies. How you
Sure.
think it should
Uh,
go forward?
yeah. So, and a very good question. So we did. So this is all data which is coming from our live projects, which we are currently doing. And so I'll take this example with Indian Oil Corporation. We are working with 2, 3 gas station companies, petrol pump companies. But I'll give you this data from real projects. So there are 3 ways of procuring renewable energy. The first is rooftop solar. I believe that 40% of the geography can be covered by rooftop solar. But if you think about metro cities, it is very difficult to arrange rooftop solar. So it's not possible. Then you need to do wheeling, or purchase of renewable energy. So we have recently signed up, and it's not a public information. I cannot share much, but we have signed with a uh, what you call a grid operator, where we have an agreement to purchase renewable energy and wheel it to any part of India for our customers who are using EV charging on our platform. So that's the second thing, and thanks to Government of India, which has made it possible for wheeling of renewable energy. The third thing, which is not yet in the policies, and we are trying to, so we have through a white paper, we are trying to advise NITI Aayog and other policymakers on how what is the third option. The third option we are proposing, and this is very successful in North America, is letting the distribution utilities own batteries for the purpose of storing renewable energy and make it available for EV charging purpose, because the financial benefits overweigh the cost of battery and the whole financing. Now, coming to your question on what is the why rooftop solar is not economical, but actually what turned out, it's very economical. It makes perfect sense because if EV chargers, say for example, take the example of a gas station. If each EV charger needs to be installed there, the distribution transformer needs to be upgraded. So we did a survey of about 700 gas stations across the country, and what we realized that distribution transformer invariably, on an average, were about 10 kilowatt to 15 kilowatt. In some cases, they were 50 kilowatt. But if you are installing a 15 kilowatt fast DC charger to 50 kilowatt fast DC charger, these distribution transformers needs to be upgraded, and there is a cost associated to it. So some of the examples from our, and again, this is hearsay. It's nothing in the books, but we realize the cost of changing a distribution transformer is anywhere from 25 lakhs Indian rupees to 50 lakhs Indian rupees, depending on the utility to utility. Plus, there is a invariable 6 months to 1 year of delay because utilities they need to do a lot of back end work. So there is a cost associated. That's point number one. So having for us, we were lucky because 20,000 gas stations of Indian Oil already have rooftop solar, so it was easy for us to justify our case. The second was EVs, is, as you rightly said, the population of EV is growing, but is not substantial enough to make EV charge point operators profitable. So there has to be a way to make it profitable at the same time while we are developing the infrastructure for EV charging. So the what we proved was uh, gas stations don't have to upgrade their distribution transformer. Upgrading the distribution transformer also not only means cost of 25 lakhs to 50 lakhs, but also the increase in the fixed prices of electricity bill, because your sanction load is going up. So that's the second saving. The third is through a software and a battery combination, we proved that 80% of the gas station load can be powered by the rooftop solar. So it reduces the bill from 20,000 rupees per month to 3,000, 2,500 rupees per month, and it's all proven. And on top of it, it makes the electricity available, renewable electricity available for EV charging purpose for almost 8 hours. So this is the simple economics. Now we encourage these EV charger operators, gas station operators, to provide as much EV charging operation as possible, because if you push it back to the grid, and there's not very effective net metering rules in the country, uh, you can charge, because it's in your backyard, you are generating your own electricity. You can charge anywhere from 500 rupees to 700 800 rupees for an hour of EV charging. The return on investment on solar project through selling of EV charging operation is more profitable than selling it back to the grid or using it for your own consumption. So that has come out, and it has been presented to all the policymakers within the country to see if it makes sense for them to look at the policy. And I'm glad that things are moving very fast on this front. Thanks. Sorry, you are on mute.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Pratik. So one thing that I understand is that till the time the EV charging operators don't use the renewable energy or don't get the renewable energy for charging their EVs, the carbon credit management for their side will be off, right? So the renewable energy procurement by them or the uh, availability of RE for the charging station operators at a affordable cost is very much needed at this point of time to get hold of the carbon credit management or carbon credits for their uh, Rohit,
I, I
yeah,
just
sure.
want to clarify on that, and Rohit hit a very good point, because in this whole process, the carbon credits are owned by the EV drivers, and there has to be a back end and front end contract with the EV charger operator. So what we are promoting is that is that's a requirement for make it beneficial, and aggregators, like in our case, Indian Oil Corporation should be aggregating all the carbon credits and utilizing it for their benefit, and that is needs to be looked into.
Sure, Pratik. And actually, my question was next. The same question was to Rohit: how to establish that boundary actually between the EV owners and the EV charging operators when we're issuing the carbon credits to them, right? Because and this is the first question, and the second question that I asked to Akash before that: how because of the transaction cost that is pretty high right now for the carbon credits, how the aggregation of the various EV owners or the EV charging operators can help in reducing the transaction cost and getting the carbon credits issued to them.
Okay, yeah, Mr. Kundu. So basically, I'll just like to start from the previous, what Pratik has rightly said. So, in Indian grid, currently the emission factor of Indian grid is 0.93 kgs, for kgs of CO2 per kilowatt hour, right? And the same, basically, if we are replacing a diesel fuel, diesel vehicle or petrol or CNG vehicle. So if basically we are replacing it in India, in Indian context, by the grid electricity, the difference, the delta is less when compared to the renewable electricity. As he was saying, in Toronto, the grid is very clean. So the actual benefits in terms of the delta, right, is more in the countries where the grid is more clean. So we hope in India also this 0.93 will come down, but it will take time. So we are right. That is the thing. And to your question, sorry, can you repeat your question, Mr. Kundu? I just
Yeah, one question that you answered already, I think. And the
yeah.
second question was that the
Hmm.
transaction cost for carbon credit issuance is very high right
Right.
now. So, and how the aggregation of the various EV owners or the EV charging operators can
Hmm.
reduce the cost. If there is any aggregation business model, something like
Yeah.
that, that can reduce the
Right.
transaction cost on that, if you can throw some light on
Definitely, yeah, sure. So, how carbon project works basically is, the model of carbon projects are, I can say, of two types in our case. One is the, upfront cost model, and the another one is the basically revenue sharing model. So, when we are speaking that a company or a charge point operator has operations across, a region, North India, West India, South or East, or it is deploying its charging stations across the country. So when a substantial amount of carbon credits comes, like 15-20,000 credits, if a project is generating, then we'll go for a basically, usually we go for a revenue sharing model. So we won't charge anything upfront to the clients. Once the carbon credits are issued and then we trade those carbon credits in the market, whatever revenue will get generated, that will be shared in between. So that is the model. And in case there are various small charge point operators, so what we can do, we can have a bundled project. In that case particularly, the cost per head will get distributed. So but again, they won't have to give pay us anything. We'll run a techno commercial feasibility on that project. Once it is viable, we'll go for a revenue sharing model. And so that is the they don't have to put their money from the pocket, and a good amount of money will come back to them. Yeah.
that. Okay. Rohit, can you just let me know if this geography will make any difference, because the renewable energy is slightly scattered
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
India. Yeah, right. And that's the question I want that you can throw some light on that, so the audience can understand on that point how that will
Right.
differ and the prices will differ on that front if there is internal market, when the internal market will be developed.
Yeah, so as of now, in India, what we are following, the emission factor is, dictated by CEA, right? So they publish each year. So this year it is 0.932. So how it will come up in India, I really don't have any this thing, my thoughts, because whether they will go for electricity, particularly state based or not, because it's again a question. But yes, if suppose a company is selling or is deploying their vehicles in some other part of the world, say in Nepal, in Indian subcontinent, Nepal, or any other country. So in Nepal, the emission factor is so low, around zero point 0.2, zero point 0.3, right? So it makes a very huge difference. Yeah. So the same
So
amount
bas-
of the vehicles running same distance will generate more carbon credits in Nepal when compared to India. That is my answer. Yeah.
Right. So it may be possible that EV owners in Nepal will be exchanging carbon credits and or selling the carbon credits in India also, right? Because they can get more price or something like that on that front.
Uh, Conceptually, yes, but again, any projects which is being developed in Nepal. So in India, again, the consumers of carbon credits are very less. So they have to sell it to Western market, and they'll fetch a very
Western
good
market.
price. Yeah.
Okay, sure. And one question that I asked before, if you can throw some light, I know that
Hmm.
you understand the taxonomy that is being developed for sustainable financing, right? How that taxonomy aspect will help in carbon financing when with reference to EVs and help it grow in the market right now in India.
Right. So recently, I think in the budget also they have, gave some good, I can say, push to import of battery and then again its component and other things. So that will again help, the, I can say, the manufacturer, the assemblers, and the battery pack providers, to sustain in their short term and when the market grows in the long term also. But yes, as I said, that this carbon financing, when we say that, how can we relate this carbon financing? So it's again additional revenue what they can generate. So it's again a very beneficial thing. And again, when we say for this battery, so again in 2022 November, Government of India has released battery waste management rules. So not only on the sourcing side, but on the recycling side also, government is focusing. And whatever recycling is being done in the battery waste, the EPR, that is emission, this commodity, when you recycle you will get an EPR certificate, so that particular recyclers can also monetize it. So a whole system circularity will be in place, I can say. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Pratik. Thank you, sorry, Rohit. And Pratik, my next question will be to you. And how you think the whole ecosystem actually, from renewable energy to charging stations to battery recycling, what Rohit has mentioned, how that will be developed, that need to be developed, and how it will help in carbon credit generation and the market development.
And this is, I'm taking a stab in the sand. There is no fixed, uh, what do you call, projections. But, understanding from what we see in North America, I personally believe that EVs, the total percentage of EVs in India would be roughly about 20% of the total car population. So it's not going to be much. What I see happening in India, and which is very promising, is hydrogen based transportation, e-mobility, right? And again, that is also a good source of carbon emission reduction. So definitely there is going to be carbon credit. So so in terms of mobility, no matter what, whether it is EVs or whether it is hydrogen based mobility, it is going to create enough carbon credit market for India. And I'm glad that government of India has decided to create their own carbon exchange, because what is happening is, the market is very opaque. The Western market is very opaque in terms of buying and selling of carbon credit. Who is buying at what price? That's the question which most of the Indian generators of carbon credit are not much aware of, and that's where EKI has done an excellent job in creating that awareness within Indian market, and I applaud them. What the exchange would do is, it will help India to achieve COP26 targets by 2070, what is being promised, committed by Government of India. So they would be aggregating most of the carbon credits generated locally. The second is it will create a global market which is not opaque, which is very transparent, and that is what we are trying to do is little different than what EKI is doing. And again, like, we are still in the development stage, but it is a blockchain based platform approach for carbon trading. We are not a carbon exchange, but we calculate carbon credits based on generation and consumption. So, for example, if you are offsetting heating, then it creates a different set of carbon credits. If you are offsetting EV charging, so like in California, where we have got some projects, carbon credits are sold at 10x of of the market value. So if carbon credits are being sold for $20 or $15 or $7, it would be 10 times, so $70 to $200 is the price of carbon credit through EV charging operation, because you are offsetting tailpipe emission as well. So it is, and we know that this is not going to be sustainable. It's not going to be long term, but to promote e-mobility, these are the things which I'm very sure India would be adopting, where there would be huge incentive in terms of creating carbon credit market for mobility purpose, because that's the second largest or third largest source of carbon emission, and this will really help India to achieve that COP26 targets.
Yeah, thank you, Pratik. And I think both of you have heard about this, what you call the lithium deposits found in J&K right now, right? So obviously, India will be much targeting on that to mine those lithium and use it for the domestic production of batteries and others. So how do you think this carbon credit generation from the EV or the end product, that EV or the charging operations, or the from the end products of the value chain, how it will transform the whole value chain from the lithium mining to that, how that will get transformed with a carbon credit market development? So Rohit, if you can come first, then Pratik, if possible.
So yeah. So when basically if you talk about EV ecosystem, so the raw materials, battery raw materials, and other kinds of metal, be it plastic, any other thing, right? So it has their own carbon footprinting, right? So it's another term. So in case of lithium, when in J&K, we have found a large quantity of lithium deposits, and when it comes from there. In sustainability, we have to maintain, that is the very first point. But when it comes from there, so the overhead cost, the the basically I can say the upstream of the raw material will get cheaper, right? So we are not in that sense, because we are again right now it is all being imported, a very little amount here and there, but all being imported. When it comes from India, not only it will benefit our EV industry, because it will get some subsidy, or some, it will get cheaper, but also we can export it, right? So our ecosystem will get robust again. When we export it, we will we'll be in a better position into that. Plus, when we say that we are mining, and then we are refining there, we are manufacturing, so it has each step has a potential to be energy efficient, right? So there is again this is scope, that when you are an energy efficient company, you are promoting energy efficiency, you are again reducing the consumption of fossil fuels, primary or secondary. So that again will can be termed as a carbon project. So there are methodologies or standards available to get these kind of projects registered, and then these in this way also we can register the projects, have the benefits from international carbon market. Yeah, so there are 2-3 ways to it.
So Pratik, I'll just say that as what Rohit said. So how you think that generation at the one end can help in is taking up low carbon methodologies for other developments at the upstream, actually on the mining side and others? How you think that will be helpful?
Yeah, unfortunately, that's not my expertise, and I learn from people like Rohit whenever I get an opportunity. So I'll defer that question to Rohit, who is an expert here. I'm so sorry.
Okay, okay. Rohit, please, if you can, it will be helpful.
Can you please repeat it?
No, I'm saying at one end the EVs are generating carbon credits, right? And one end this, and they are upstream. People will be mining lithium and others. So how the whole system can be transformed, actually, from the benefits can be shared with the upstream. From benefits from the downstream due to carbon can be shared with the upstream to transform their processes and all that. Footprint that you were saying, carbon footprint.
Right, right.
So,
Sure,
so any
definitely.
defined business models with based on your experience or any international experience that has helped like that, or any oil and gas companies doing such kind of things on the downstream, they're generating carbon credits and transforming the whole process across the value chain to the up to the upstream. If
All right. Yeah. So, if we talk about whole concept of sustainability, so right from the mining activity till the, when the final product reaches the producer, product, consumer's end. So, we have to take care of carbon footprinting at each step. So, now, we generally come across articles or, news that in the countries where the current cobalt lithium mining is happening, the whole ecosystem is, disrupted in one sense. But again, we are mining from there and then using, the basically mined material in our countries, right? Be it batteries, be it any other sources. So the whole concept of sustainability has to be in place. We have to take care of that person also, if not directly, if not in monetary terms, but in health of in terms of health, safety, hazard free life, and then quality of life. There should not be any child labor involved, right? So that part we are taking in our country, in India or in any developed nation. But again, what about the I can say the global south, right? So that is the whole circularity we have to maintain in India. Again, when we have this mining, setup, like Coal India is again, have the mining setup. So we are taking care of these kind of things, I can say confidently, and it will improve the livelihoods. So yeah,
okay,
indirectly or directly, it will benefit.
it will help.
Yeah, it will help.
Okay, thank you, Rohit. Actually, this is all from my side actually, and there are
No
various
worries.
audience questions that are already been there. So I think we need to be very basic with the basic answer to reply to. You need to respond to very basic questions. I think those are
Yeah,
very
yeah.
basic actually. So it will be helpful if you can kind of explain them in detail. So one of the question is that what is the cost, fixed and variable,
Okay.
of setting up system for carbon credit for EVs compared to revenue collected? Okay, I think someone is already, I think Avanti is already projecting the question. So it'll fine, Rohit. You can start with the first question. How is the carbon credit value determined? I think Rohit, you're on mute.
Yeah.
Hello.
Am I audible?
Yeah,
Hello.
you're audible. Please go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So, the cost of carbon credit again is not fixed. There is no such kind of exchange in voluntary carbon market as of now. So, the transparency of the carbon credit rates are not there currently, though it's a over the counter trade. Basically, we have a pool of buyers, pool of sellers. So it depends on the negotiations plus the market factors. Like currently, the Ukraine Russia war is happening, so we can expect a price of $2, $3. Again, when we say about carbon credits, where it is being generated in the compliance market or in the voluntary market. So in compliance market, usually the carbon prices are very high, ranges from $5 till $30, right? And in Indian context, if we say about voluntary carbon market, so we can fetch a price anywhere from $1 to $5. It's a broad range. So it depends on various factors, demand, supply, and the sentiments, basically. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Rohit. There is another question from Alok Kumar, Deputy Manager, Denso International. Does growing forest help a company to gain carbon offset?
Yes, definitely. And it comes under agroforestry kind of carbon credits or nature-based solutions. We have our JV with Shell, that is, Amrut. We say it, it's from the name goes Amrut. and they develop such kind of project. So on a large land, you have to plant trees with proper trees which grow in certain time of in certain time, and then they will monitor the growth, they will monitor the permanency, whether the forests are being cut or not. So yes, in short, yes, these kind of projects are eligible for carbon credits. Yeah.
Thank you, Rohit.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pratik, this question is for you. There are several crypto projects coming up with carbon credit mechanism in EV. How will traditional projects offering carbon credits from EV compete with them? Pros and the cons. This question is from Mr. Ram Kannan, CEO, INOP Analytics Singapore.
Ram, excellent question. I will divide this question into two parts. One is the crypto part, which is we will not touch it even with a wood pole. But the other part, which is how to make this opaque market more transparent through blockchain technology. So, crypto is a byproduct of a blockchain. So, what I will touch is how we can use blockchain technology to trade carbon credits. So, and I will not get into the details, technical details. If you are interested, you can reach out to me separately offline. But I'll give you a flavor of how we are using blockchain technology for creating carbon credit, and this is something which we have patented. So the way we have done it is, uh, you know, and again, before I get into the details, I also want to highlight a report from UN which talks about, the I wouldn't say error, but incorrect way of calculating carbon credits, which is almost three times to the actual reduction in carbon emission. And so there is a very serious thought globally on how this needs to be calculated. And this is something what we are trying to target in terms of creating a solution as Hoga Energy. Coming to the solution, so what we have done is, as I was mentioning before, carbon credit are function of two aspects. One is source of generation. How you are generating, where you are generating, and the second is how you are consuming it. So, for example, I'll give you some examples of from our project, right? Rohit touched about the war in Ukraine and the oil, the rising oil prices. So one of our customer is distilleries in Scotland, and they are not only having a huge price spike in oil, heating oil, which is needed as a part of the process, but also there is a shortage of heating oil. So there is a problem here. Now, how do we address this problem? Not only to overcome the oil shortage, but also help these distilleries to offset their cost. So what we have done is these distilleries are huge real estate. One of the distillery which where we are working is 100 miles by 100 miles, and they have got flow of a stream of water. So and then they have got wind turbines. They do not have solar. They don't have geothermal. They don't have batteries. So we have installed all the above and integrated it on one platform and created renewable generation, locally generated renewable generation to offset heating from oil to electric heating. So if I would have done a vanilla type of a renewable generation and pushed it back into the Scottish grid is very very free carbon free type of grid, because they generate most of their generation is offshore wind turbines. I would not have generated enough carbon credit for this particular customer. But since I'm offsetting oil heating, so I'm creating more, and it is tracked through our platform. So we have got a combination of a hardware and software. So it tracks how much is being generated, where it is being consumed. So in this case, electricity is electricity. I think there is a question from the audience. Electricity is electricity. It will flow the way it will flow. It is just the matter of tracking in an auditable trail to calculate your carbon offsets and carbon emission reduction, and then your credits. And that is what we have created on our platform, and it is on blockchain. So once it is made available, not like again principles of blockchain, you don't know who generated it, but it is made available on the trading platform. You don't know who is buying it, because again this is the type of security and privacy blockchain brings to the table, but also at the same time it brings the transparency. So just to give a idea of the type of customers who are buying. So Delta Airlines, which purchased about $150 million worth of carbon credit last year, and they are not even in top 10 buyers of the industry. That's the type of market we are trying to target, right? And the blockchain is going to help to create more transparency and more visibility to this type of international market, which is available for Indian companies. Ram, I don't know if I answered your question, but happy to connect with you offline.
Thank you, Pratik. Avanti, you can. Yeah, sure. The next question is, how can a diesel to electric EV retrofitment company can help its small or large customers or itself generate carbon credits? So I think Pratik or Rohit, either of you can answer on this. This is from Mr. Ritesh Anand, the Crystal Overseas.
Yeah. So Pratik, will you answer or yeah? I think no worries. So yeah, but this particular, it's a fuel switch kind of a project wherein basically methodologies or carbon methodologies, when you are replacing one kind of fuel to another from diesel to CNG, so the differential would be eligible. In this case, you're replacing the I think you have the electric vehicle kit and you're replacing it. So yeah, technically it is possible, and we can see how deviations or how we can take in methodologies to register these projects. So there's possibility. Yeah.
Rohit, I think there is some from the carbon credit generation perspective, it is also needed. Now, the same type of passenger vehicles or same type of vehicles should be there when we're comparing those emission
Yes,
reduction.
yes. So a two-wheeler can be compared to a two-wheeler, a three-wheeler to three-wheeler, and then the commercial in commercial vehicles. So a bus can be compared to a bus. Yeah.
No, commercial vehicles, I think there is some categorization on how many passenger capacity it has or something like that,
Yes, yes,
right?
yes. So that particular type can be compared to the particular type, whatever you are replacing. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So I think these are the end of the questions. Or there are any other questions, Avanti? Yeah. So the next question from Mr. Pranav Jain from Clean Hedge. Even if we will electricity, you still need to rely on the grid, which is again coal-fired power. So I think the question he wants to mention is that if the electricity that we are used for charging, that we're using for charging of electric vehicles is from coal power plants. Right?
So yeah, Pranay, a very good question here. And when I'm saying the emission factor from the grid is 0.93. So again, you are using the same electricity from the grid, right? But if you say that currently, few of the customers are paying premium in India for getting the green electricity, right? So there are again, when they say that I am having the green electricity or from the grid. So the source is unknown. Basically, the discom says that this is the premium X amount you have to pay more for a unit. You will get the electricity, assuring that it's a green, but the source is unknown. It is also not known that whether the generator has taken the carbon benefits or not. That is another question, right? So yeah, again, that is why 0.93 is the emission factor we are taking in Indian context. Yeah, I can say that. So it is accounted.
If you want me to address this question, I won't take more than a minute.
Sure, sure,
Sure.
sure.
Please, Pratik, please go ahead.
Yeah. So it's a valid question, and as I mentioned, electricity is electricity. A customer doesn't care whether it is coming from the coal-fired electricity or generated electricity or from a renewable source. It's just the matter of tracking and in an auditable trail, so that you can ensure that it's a renewable energy which you want to use and you are paying for it. What we are promoting is, and this is just a thought for food for thought. There is so much solar asset which is lying in India, which does not have profitable power purchase agreements. So these are the assets which are generating, but they do not have a profitable power purchase agreement. By ensuring as a policy to have all the EVs charged through solar, whether it is through locally generated solar or whether it is through the wheeling, will also make these solar generation, solar assets very profitable, with very profitable PPAs for EV charging operations. And that is something which we are right now in a pilot stage to test it and advise the policymakers on what are the net benefits of using renewable generation, 100% renewable generation for EV charging purpose, and what would be the in terms of carbon credits, how much would be generated in terms of dollars. But it is all about having an auditable trail. So where it is being generated, how much a unit is generated, and how much of that unit is being consumed where at that particular point of time. So there are two terms, which is, one is energy trading, the other one is power trading. What we are talking about is real-time power trading. So if at 10:01 a.m. one unit of renewable generation is generated in Gujarat, and it is used for EV charging purpose in West Bengal, and that's what wheeling is called, then it needs to be properly tracked, and we need to create a auditable trail to claim carbon credits, and that's something which we are talking about. Doesn't matter if your rest of the grid is coal, and again, you might be using coal generated electricity, but it is all about uh, creating a trail, auditable trail for renewable generation. And as you increase the content of renewable generation in your grid will keep improving in terms of carbon emission.
Thank you, Pratik. So, the next question is, as per Electricity Conservation Act, I think so, EC Act, when new carbon credit mechanism will be developed, what will happen to the PAT scheme, or how these two are relevant to each other? It's question from Mandeep Singh, manager Kia. Please, both of you can answer one by one if you want.
Rohit, your
Yeah.
expertise.
Yeah. All right. So basically, EC Act again, has mandated the carbon market, and our power minister has announced last year that it will come sooner or later. But yes, the work has been started when new carbon credit mechanism. Yeah, the work has been started by the end of 2023 and start of mid of 2024. We have something right to see on pilot basis, and by 2025 it may get commercialized as per the recent insights from the ministry. What will happen to PAT scheme? So again, currently they are working on the same model with respect to whatever PAT scheme was there. The energy certificates, earlier it was energy certificates. Now, if they convert it, they'll be calling them as carbon certificates, right? So earlier it was like how much kilowatt hour of electricity you have saved. Now it will be how much kilograms of CO2 you have saved. So the terminology will be different, and it will get transferred into CO2. But yes, it's all only few insights, nothing yet in written from there. So we have to wait till they release something concrete onto it. Yeah.
And Rohit, I think these are the two different things which will help actually
Yes.
the companies. One is on the energy, one is on carbon, I think. So
Carbon,
that's
right.
a double win for
So
them,
how
right?
they actually, but how they integrate, because ultimately the savings only they have to show as carbon emission reduction. So how they link each other, or whether it will be a single thing that will get converted, or two different things. So that is not clear, and I suppose it will be a single thing only, because the ultimately the saving is getting converted into emission reduction. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Thank you. So I think this is the end of the all the questions from the audience. On over to Shakshi and Avanti. You are not audible, Shakshi. I think you are on mute.
Box as well. That.
Okay, I think another question, Rohit and Pratik. What is the role of charger utilization factor in calculating the carbon credit? Actually, which we discussed throughout the session. So if you can just throw some light on that. It
Thank
is
you.
from Deputy Manager ESL Aniket Kumar.
Hi, am I audible now?
Yeah,
I,
audible. We are
I,
just
I
answering the questions, actually. If you can just wait for a minute. Just, I think another
Am I
questions
audible
came up.
now, Mr. Kundu?
Yeah, you're audible.
yeah, you are actually. So I'll take that question. So
Sure, sure, please.
utilization of charger does not affect in terms of carbon credit. It is how much unit of electricity is being renewable, and again, like how much electricity is being used, and how much kilometers of petrol or diesel is being offset against electricity is what needs to be calculated in terms of carbon credit. Charger, if what think about this, if a charger is installed and is not being used at all for charging electric cars, it's not offsetting anything, right? So we have to be mindful that what we are offsetting, how we are offsetting, and then calculate how much carbon credit is being calculated. And then Rohit will talk about, he is an expert here, and he can talk about how a EV manufacturers also can claim carbon credits like Tesla is doing. 2021, they claimed, I think, $2 billion US dollars worth of carbon credits on their books, which is a public information. So that's what we are seeing as a trend in the market from the EV manufacturers, and then EV operators is a function of how much they are dispensing in terms of replacement of petrol or gasoline. I mean, hydrocarbon fuel. Rohit, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Pratik. So, in case of Tesla, and if we say that when we talk about carbon credit, so it can be claimed only once, right? At either at any of the end, right? So, because in other case, it will be a double counting that the generator will take, the manufacturer will take, the EV fleet owner will take. So it has to be accounted only once, and then it get cancelled. So in case of manufacturers, in case of two wheelers, so the logic here goes like, the ownership will only lies with the vehicle owner. But in case there are, if suppose I have a two wheeler or three wheeler or four wheeler, and I have single or two or three also, right? So throughout the years, if I run it, it won't generate a substantial amount of carbon credit, because again I have to incur my cost to register the project, getting the credits from the registry body. So it does not make any sense. So that is why the manufacturer comes, the manufacturer can I can say subsidize the vehicles, or give the vehicle owners different kind of perks. If and the only thing is that the manufacturer has to sign an agreement during the sale of the vehicle through its dealers network, that whatever carbon benefits this particular vehicle will generate, I'll be the sole owner of that. So that agreement need to be in place in this case. So yes, the manufacturers are also I can say eligible for it. Yeah.
And Rohit, just one question from my side. Does anything on there, or if you are preparing any standard operating procedures or something like that, so that the double counting doesn't happen and other things, so that clearly it can be stated that who is actually the beneficiary for the carbon credit, especially for the EV market.
Yes, so actually, whatever methodologies are present in Vera and CGM, so that clarifies, the modalities. one. The another thing is, when we file a project, the auditors, independent auditors from the registries will come down to validate your project, right? So they will check each and every documents thoroughly. Say if you have sold 10,000 EV vehicles, so a good sample amount they will check. They'll cross verify at ground level whether it has been executed or not, and they'll again submit their report back. Then only your project get registered. And again, same in verification. Suppose during your crediting period of 10 years, you want to issue the carbon credits in 2 years, 3 years, so again the same set of auditors will come, and again they will verify your project thoroughly. So the and it's again the independent bodies, and it does not work basically in anybody's interest. So I can say the integrity is there as of now. Yeah. And the cross check
Okay.
mechanisms are well in place.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Rohit.
Yeah.
Now over to Shakshi. If no more questions are there, you can take it up.
Uh, no, sir, we don't have any other question now. So,
Okay.
thank you, audience and the panelists. And so, with this, we have come to the end of this virtual event. And a very special thanks to Mr. Kundu for superbly managing the session. A big shout out
Thank you.
to our attendees for extending their time and support for the event. A special thanks to our partners, EKI Energies, for extending their immense support to organize this event. We promise you to come back soon with another exciting session. The floor is now open for networking. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.